Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, for far too long, most Ghanaians, particularly in the remote areas of the country, have been unfairly treated in all facets of life. This ranges from access to quality health care, good roads, provision of potable water, constant supply of electricity and quality education. The list is endless. Now, the demand for equity in the provision of basic needs of life. In that demand, JoyNews is launching a campaign dubbed Let's Be Fair. This campaign will take the form of features highlighting the various forms of inequality being endured by a good number of the citizenry. It is expected that the attention of key decision makers in the country will be drawn to the issues under the spotlight and give them the necessary attention. Watch this. Well, the moment we'll bring you that montage a bit later, but Jojo Kobna is here in the studio with me. He's been on a trip, you know, looking out for some of these stories that highlights the level of unfairness and the level of social injustice we're talking about. Jojo, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Gifty.
So what did you bring back from your trip?
So many stories, but they're not very good news. I mean, very bad news, but we need to highlight them so that we can improve on many things, as we said, many facets of life. I bring you stories of water, I bring you stories of health, I bring you a story on education, on ICT, on many things. I remember one community I visited in the upper Volta region, that is the northern part of the Volta region, where women were fighting. The women were virtually fighting over water. They had just one borehole and about 1,000 of them inhabitants depending on one borehole, and so it created a fight. When you go through the communities, they are very peaceful people, but because of poor access to water, they fight.
They have to fight because they don't have water.
And then ICT education. I mean, we're making a lot of noise about ICT. Children here are very, I mean, in urban centers know how to use the computers. You know, we're in a computer age. But children, what about children in rural communities? Right. It is also very frightening. And one story that really broke my heart was 11-month-old baby weighing 3.9 kilos because of hunger.
Wow. I'm going to pause you there a bit, Jojo, so we can have a look at the montage. Okay, it appears we can't get that to play, right? But Jojo, you're here, so tell us a bit more about it. Let's be fair. What are we going to be doing with it, and what do we intend to achieve at the end of the day?
We intend to highlight all these inequalities that exist and then make a lot of noise. When I say noise, I'm talking of positive noise.
Yes, it certainly has to be positive.
Where we draw decision makers, we sit down with them and then we show them the raw visuals of rural Ghana. Because traveling through rural Ghana, I mean, I was in the upper west, and then I was in the northern region, and I was in the Volta region. And traveling through, it was not pleasant. Especially, there was this community I visited where children had water. They had clothes from school and they were just running to a stream. And to my shock, they just drank the water, raw like that. And next to them, we saw some people bathing in the water, washing in the water. So I could just imagine, I mean, what is the future for these people, and are we being fair to them? Are they part of Ghanaians? And then there's this story too of a pregnant woman on a motorbike going to deliver on a dusty road.
So I think that some of those pictures have been on Facebook as well. So the story behind it is, well, it's quite. I think you told the story on Facebook as well. But for the benefit of our viewers who have not been on Facebook to see that, go ahead, please.
No, but the story is deeper than
what you put on Facebook.
Because it was just 15 seconds of that on Facebook.
Sure.
But the story is deeper and it is more nuanced than what you saw. And I mean, imagine a woman bleeding already, like laboring throughout the night, bleeding, and then the following day sitting on a motorbike, not alone, but sandwiched by the husband and the sister, so 3 adults on one boat. I would say that 4 people, because the baby, without helmets, nothing, and then on a very bad road, because not a single road in Pandai is tarred at the moment. I mean, so you can imagine them. I mean, a woman groaning on a motorbike because they were being squeezed, and the husband cannot speed up because she's. He's confused because there's the wife and baby, and
doesn't know what's
a lot of emotions.
When are we expected to have these stories? Let's be fair stories hit our screens.
Tomorrow.
We're starting tomorrow.
We're starting tomorrow.
Okay.
9:55. You would see many more stories, and every day there should be a story on Let's Be Fair, highlighting very poor conditions across the country. Where I got to one community where they had a school, no teacher, and so none of them have graduated JHS.
Wow.
The highest qualification there was JHS 2. And I counted about 400 children. 400 children.
I'm going to pause you again so we can have a very quick peek of what to expect. Now, as Jojo was saying, imagine a pregnant woman who is due for delivery sitting on a motorbike, one person in front of her, another behind her, and obviously a confused husband, a sister trying to help. Watch this.
Using the Salaga to Pandai District Road in the northern region of Ghana is a nightmare. Even with a good vehicle, navigating Pandai is very difficult. And as the dust settles, we are greeted with this. Idonker is in pain. She can hardly balance on the motorbike. We learned despite her laboring throughout the night, the baby would just not come out. She had just started bleeding, so her husband and sister carried her on the motorbike to the hospital. At a point, we couldn't bear simply filming a woman in labor groaning on a motorbike. It takes more than 1 hour on the motorbike to the Pandai Polyclinic, the nearest health facility. But with our four-wheel vehicle, we could make it there in 45 minutes. Even in the relative comfort of our vehicle, Idonker still winces in pain as we move on the road riddled with potholes. Her sister clutched her firmly to give her support, but the labor pains were excruciating.
The hospital left or right? Okay. No.
Eventually we got to the hospital, but we could not use the main entrance because of construction works there.
Certainly some of these things that do make you speechless. Jojo, let's wrap up with, we should expect more of this?
Yeah, more of this.
Really?
I mean, I'm not I don't want to be a bit of bad news, but unfortunately, these are the realities of rural people. I mean, people who live in rural Ghana.
How did her story end, by the way?
You have to find out tomorrow. But
okay.
It wasn't a pleasant story. I wasn't too happy with so many things that happened, and you have to find out the full story tomorrow when we start showing Let's Be Fair stories. I mean, it's a campaign. It's a month-long campaign to highlight inequalities, and so we will make sure that we make a lot of noise for Pandai. And there is one thing that I would want the public to know, that we, in the course of this campaign, we would want to buy Pandai Evangelical Church of Ghana, that want to buy them an anesthetic machine, and it costs just 50,000, and it can save a lot of women.
50,000
cedis, yes. And I know that there are many well-meaning Ghanaians who dole out money and then support something like this.
Sure. Jojo, thank you very much for coming. We hope to see what happens tomorrow. I want to look at the end of that story of the lady who was in labor. Jojo Kobda there, he's been up and about all over the country, bringing us stories that highlight social injustice, obviously something we want to work on.